What is the worst slash scariest thing that has woken you up? Actually just happened last week. Woke up to my dog growling and someone was shining a light into my window at 2 a.m. I was super out of it and trying to process what was going on since the light was coming from someone in my fenced-in backyard. Then my dog barked loud and the person ran away. One important preface. At the time I lived alone, no roommates. One time I was taking a nap in my bedroom, happened to have a really horrible nightmare, and then woke up to some strange man standing in my bedroom, shining a flashlight in my face while I laid in bed. Both of us freaked the fuck out. It turned out he was the maintenance guy from the apartment complex I lived in, finally responding to a maintenance request I had put in like 6 months before. He thought the apartment was empty, then heard me thrashing around from the nightmare and went and looked into the dark bedroom, blackout curtains, with his flashlight to see what was making the noise. After both of us recovered from our near heart attacks, he was extremely apologetic, and he did finally fix my garbage disposal, but Jesus Christ, that was fucking terrifying for a few seconds. I've told this before, but my son has taken to sleepwalking. He used to just stand by the bed silently until I'd snap awake and see his silhouette looming over me. Now he's taken to turning on the lights while he's sleepwalking. I woke up one night and he was standing there, turning the lights on and off, completely zoned out. I get him back to bed and I think, fuck this, I'm sleeping downstairs for the rest of the night. Around 3 o'clock I wake up. All of the lights downstairs are on. Edit. I go to a doctor's appointment after posting this and come back to see everyone's sleepwalking experiences. Cool stuff. Some general answers to repeated questions. It only happens every now and again, and it seems to come in what we've called storms. He'll sleepwalk for 2 or 3 nights and then have a week or so off. We do keep the front doors locked. We don't shut our bedroom doors though, because he has walked face first into them while sleepwalking, which, if you think a kid standing over you is creepy, wait until they'll slam the door open with their head. I've become used to it. My reaction went from, oh my god, what the fuck, after the first few times to, damn it, again. My wife, though, is creeped out. Neither my wife or I, or his younger sibling, have been sleepwalkers. Anyway, keep on walking in the sleep world. My buddy and I were camping and saw a bear, so we decided to sleep in his car. I was still worried about the bear, so it took forever to fall asleep. Well, right after I fell asleep, I woke up to screams and something grabbing my face. I immediately started crying, knowing that a bear was about to rip my face off. Then I realized it was my friend having a night terror. I was livid. Anyone here have one of those robotic vacuums? When the power goes out, those fuckers start wandering around lost, bumping into shit. Absolutely terrifying thing to be woken up at 3 in the morning. A few years back, I heard a thud in the hallway, and my 4-year-old daughter screaming in pain. She had fallen and gotten a small but deep cut just above her left eyebrow. When I got out to the hallway, her face, hands, and pajamas were covered in blood, and she was holding her hands against her face. I thought she'd lost her eye. A quick trip to the ER for a couple of stitches, and she was right as rain, but I gained almost all of my grey hair that night. My 2-year-old standing over me with a kitchen knife. He wanted sliced apples at 4 in the morning, and somehow managed to climb up on table and pull out a knife. Now we keep them in the cupboard. In January of this year, a car ran into my bedroom at 1 a.m. Those asking for more info. Basically, I had just gotten home from visiting my parents, and I went to bed around 12:30 a.m. At 1:04 a.m. a car ran into my bedroom / connected half bathroom. My bathroom is about 3 feet squared, so that was completely destroyed and the car was partially in my room also. My roommate and I went outside after calling 911 to search for the driver. Thankfully, he was okay. He was laying on the ground about 20 feet away from a car. He had empty beer cans in his car and pill bottles. He told us he was about 25, but we soon found out from the police he was 19. This whole situation had been a mess because my landlord wanted to do all the repairs himself. I just moved back into my room last week and had been living in the living room for the past 2 months. I'm glad to finally have a bedroom again, but sleeping in that room still makes me nervous at night. I still can't use my bathroom after 10 PM because it makes me nervous. I'll be fine eventually. I just need to get used to it. In grad school, my roommate standing directly over me, staring down at me. She couldn't decide if she should wake me up or not. She kept hearing this deep voice mumbling at inconsistent intervals and was torn between "there's someone in the house" and "I'm finally actually losing my mind." She was studying psych at the time. We finally figured out that it was the smoke detector wanting new batteries, but good lord, it was terrifying. Woman screaming for her life. Luckily for her, it was a big apartment complex and about 30 people got outside before they could shove her in the trunk. Her head was wrapped up in a duct tape mask. It was all quite fucked up. A 6.0 earthquake at 3 in the morning. Probably the most helpless I have ever felt. I expected my ceiling fan to fall on me. When you're lying in bed with no protection nearby, you basically just have to hold on and hope everything is alright. My dog barking only once in a low voice. He will generally go wild if someone is in front of the door, or passes through the hallway, then sitting up in a way he never does and staring at the door. Nothing happened. It was scary as fuck, cause it was everything that he usually does not do. Things that are off are scarier than grotesque things that happen in my opinion. The general alarm shrieking through the 1MC speaker right outside of my rack when I was on a submarine. Someone's clothes had caught fire in the dryer, the only one on the boat. I was deep asleep and woke up confused as hell, scared witless and choking on smoke. The sound of my stepfather screaming, "Get the fuck out of our house." I'm in bed thinking that a person is in here, but turns out it was our neighbor's dog, lol. That night there was a storm and it knocked over one of their trees onto our fence, so their dog came into our backyard and into our house through a doggy door. We used to have this weird old Labrador that lived next door but would come sleep at ours some nights. It was weird because it would stand on its hind legs and trot around for a bit before getting on all fours again. One night I woke up to what sounded like someone walking around the room. For about 5 seconds I completely shit myself, thinking there was a child walking around my room before I realized it was that dog. I think it did it for the food. I've woken up several times to the sound of tornado sirens going off in the middle of the day. They test them on the first Wednesday of every month. But when they wake you up, your first thought isn't what day it is. My house trying to fall apart. I was remodeling a nightmare of a room in the 1925 house. Got into the walls. Anyone who has done this knows what I'm talking about. And it was a nightmare. I removed the layer of plywood behind the drywall to see what the studs looked like. Well, the fucking plywood was holding up the walls. The studs had more or less disintegrated, so the whole night I heard constant, loud, settling noises. Not normal ones. Loud pops, wood crunching, etc. Next morning I set up an exterior brace and that kept its sound long enough to properly repair it. The sound of something breaking over the baby monitor, and my son crying out. He'd managed to ninja his way out of his bed. Had no idea until that day he could get over the railing, out of his room, into the bathroom, and found a vase under the sink. Dropped it, which shattered it, and sliced open his leg pretty good. Required casting and surgical repair. He's good now, over a decade later, limps sometimes when he gets overly tired, but otherwise no permanent damage.